Can everyone hear me? Yes, you can. That's fantastic. This is going to be a very short, sharp final session because we know we're moving on to lunch very shortly. We just have some concluding remarks to make. And my riveting comments are very to do with housekeeping. I seem to have the final say on all those matters. Oops. Which has just disappeared from my list here. Sorry. So welcome to this final session of the 7th World Summit on Arts and Culture. We just wanted to let you know some of the things that will take this event forward, because that's, as we heard in the final session, at the previous session, that's very important to think now, what is the action we are going to do when we get back? From IFICA's point of view, we will be doing a report on the summit, and the rapporteur reports that Nina will mention will contribute to that report, and that will be published online, and all of you as delegates, we have your email addresses, we'll make sure that you get that. The discussion paper that you received in your pack was a draft. We will also be enhancing that with your feedback, with additional materials, with comments, with corrections, with whatever, and also we will be publishing that. Possibly not until the end of the year, but we will get through these things as quickly as we can. There were a number of other IFICA research reports as well you saw about local government, about freedom of artistic expression, etc. We will be updating those events. There will be a number of photos and videos, and if you haven't been following Twitter and Facebook, you'll see there's lots of stuff posted on that, so you should have endless amounts of material to report on when you get back. As I mentioned, the registration list is now up online. If you're not on the list and would like to be added to it, please just email us at info@IFICA and we'll make sure that you get put onto that final list. And I haven't mentioned to Stephen, but I may as well make the announcement. I think we're up to 87 countries now, so we've more than surpassed the previous record. So I think that's... Congratulations to the team here at Arts Council Malta. Very importantly, there's, as usual with these summits and with all IFICA events, an evaluation form. And we would really value your feedback so we can hear from you about what you thought about the summit and how we might improve future events. This will be sent to you by email. Please just make a few moments to go through it and return your comments to us. We really appreciate that. There will be, for IFICA members and affiliates, after the closing lunch, we will all break into our regional groups. So if you're a member of IFICA, please note that there will be the 5 regional groups. You already should have the agendas for those. One key thing, everyone's so keen to get together again that they've all asked me to please let you know we're going to start all of them at 2:30. So not 3 o'clock, or you'll miss the beginning of the meeting. 2:30 in the rooms that were announced to you. Another really important thing is the cultural program. Many of you have seen the fantastic work, and I've heard back from people how much they've enjoyed it. It's really important that if you've got tickets or you want tickets, that you make sure you get to those events tonight. By all means, go and have a glass of wine or a sparkling water or dinner or whatever, but don't get caught up. Please, if you've got tickets, please make sure you turn up at those events, because the artists are waiting for you and they will be disappointed if they don't see you, and they're really wanting to do these performances. The lunch today is going to be here in the building. It's a sit-down lunch downstairs, so it's in that big long hall there, but down below. So it's in the La Valette Hall. So straight after this event, please move straight down to lunch, and that will all be available there. I think that's all the housekeeping things, but I thought I'd be cheeky and make my own comment because I held back in the morning session. Bob Palmer said that, quoting an expert, to take leadership is about taking responsibility to create the conditions for others, to take the responsibility to create the conditions for others, to achieve a common purpose in times of critical and challenging times. So to members of IFICA, to those who are responsible for funding budgets for grants, programs, etc., I would like to put a little call out to say to you, if you could please all take responsibility to create the conditions for others to take responsibility to others to help achieve a common purpose by doing one thing. Please think about supporting culture networks. It is very hard for them to operate with national borders, and virtually all the funding that's available is bounded by national borders. If we want international dialogue, if we want international networking, we have to let go a bit of the boundaries and support the network. So please, that's my plea to you. So on that note, I'd like to now pass over, we're going to remain seated for obvious reasons, to Nina.
Thank you very much, Sarah. The obvious reason is that I twisted my ankle last night as a grand finale of this week. Everything has been, at least in my case, upside down this week. We have been working for almost 2 years preparing the summit. And as a program director, I was very much hoping to be here, of course, from the beginning and to give my introductory ideas of why we have chosen the topic and what is behind it. However, things worked a little bit differently. So I'm here now, and I would like to say that we had a lot of discussion about the topic. It's always difficult. It's like this grand sentence that has to be innovative, that has to be something that is going to attract people, that is going to engage people in discussions. We decided on the topic of cultural leadership, and by your response and your participation, I think that we haven't missed the topic too much. So it is really something that is of a major concern around the world, and from what I heard from my colleagues in the past 3 days, you have had really extraordinary reflection and discussions. When I was proposing the topic, I was, of course, expected to make a structure. Like, how is it going to be organized, the architecture of the program? And then as soon as it was built and accepted by the board, and I would like to thank the IFICA board for their trust, we had this grand task to dismantle this structure, to make it exciting, to make it less organized. And here I would really like to thank to all speakers and moderators and all participants who reacted. I only experienced this final grand destruction of the structure that Bob Palmer did this morning, which I found really exciting. But I heard that, in fact, we went from this very structured dialogues to really presentations to a very lively dialogue in most of the sessions, and I'm really grateful to all of you who participated. And I think given this really bizarre coincidence that during the summit that I was working on with my colleagues for 2 years, I happened to become a Minister of Culture, which is kind of something that people associate with cultural leadership, that I shouldn't leave this room without, and shouldn't leave Malta without sharing some of those things that I learned in this process of preparing the summit and communicating with all of you. There is this extraordinary sense of responsibility for each and every one of us, regardless of where we are found at these different hierarchical positions. There is always this extraordinary sense of responsibility, and I think it was highlighted by many people here during the past few days. There is this ability to listen and to be sensitive to what others think, expect, reflect. about. And in my view, this is definitely something that is one of these determining points for cultural leadership in the times in which we live. And as it was nicely highlighted this morning, it is not only listening and talking to people who are your usual interlocutors, but it is really about opening up to some broader issues and broader agendas. We have highlighted a number of those. And this is definitely something which, if we are reflecting on the changing role of cultural leadership, in my view, this is what we have to be particularly attentive to. And also, as it was highlighted, leadership is much more than good governance. Not that we don't need good governance, but it's about trying to make a change. And change, as we know, can be made everywhere. It starts with each one of us individually, and then it's also only through collaboration and exchange that we can actually collaboratively make progress and make change. So when we started reflecting on the summit and the program, and I was trying to understand what are the expectations and why are we here? Why would people come to a gathering like this? So one word that was coming around us in our discussions was inspiration. So I can only hope that the discussions and the exchanges that you had inspired you in some ways, so that inspired you, inspired each one of us, so when we go home, that we not only think about this extraordinary hospitality and beauty that we were able to experience in Malta, but that we are also inspired to do things better, to do things differently, and to do things collaboratively. I have learned a lot through this process. Once again, I really, on a very personal note, I have to thank IFACA, the board of IFACA, and especially Sarah Gardner and her team, Magdalena, Anna-Marie, Meredith, Amy, everybody that was working with me and bearing with me during the past 2 years. I have to thank the Maltese government, the Minister of Culture, Albert Marshall as the chairperson of Arts Council, and his colleagues, Tony, Annabelle, and everybody else whom you had a chance to meet. If I don't do well as a minister, I think I will look for a job in Malta. It seems that there is some sort of a link that is being built, so if I have to leave, I mean, this seems like a perfect refuge. And also, at the end, I would like to thank once again all speakers, all moderators. We had very lively discussions via email and Skype over summer. Also, the rapporteurs. It will be really a very difficult task to sum up everything. And at the end, and this is not what I planned, but now it came to my mind. Last week, when we were here preparing the summit, we were invited by our hosts to Gozo. And I don't know if this story has already been shared or not, but as you all know, Gozo is a part of the state of Malta, a smaller island, 30,000 inhabitants. The capital city is Victoria. And there are two very strong communities there. They are built around 2 parishes. So they have their traditions, their feasts. They're always competing, but there has been, I guess, Albert, for centuries, right, a competition. So at some point, one of the communities decided to build an opera and to start an opera in Gozo, which is, as I said, 30,000 inhabitants. And guess what? The other community decided to have opera house as well. There is an extraordinary documentary filmed by Arte, which we all saw last week, about 2 competing operas in an island where there is 30,000 people. And as all of this was happening at the moments where I already knew that I might be taking a new position, I thought, what a happy country where communities are fighting over whose opera is going to be better and successful. So I really admire what I experienced here, the culture, the commitment, and I'm really grateful for having had this experience of working with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now I'll pass over to the chairman of Ithaca, Stephen Wainwright.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Thank you. It was as long ago as Tuesday night that we had our first formal function, and I expressed the hope that we would leave here feeling nourished, little realising that in fact we would be feasting for 3 days, and so our tummies are nourished, and hopefully all of our senses have been filled to a surfeit. Our eyes, and especially I think our ears, we've done a lot of listening. So I want to turn this around a bit, and in the little time available, I would like you to prepare to capture some of your own thoughts, because as we know, reflection is in fact a really important ingredient of learning. Because what I'm talking about is I'm really anxious that you don't suffer from PCIS. You've probably heard of it, post-conference inertia syndrome. It's pervasive and its consequences are very bad. So to counteract this terrible phenomenon, I'm hoping you can do something for me. So, you know that when you go home and your friends and family, they might be looking at you, especially those who have probably picked up some extra work or been looking after the family while you've been away, and they'll say to you, "So how was Malta?" And at that point, it's going to be really important for you to say something really compelling back to them so that they feel that it's been worth their extra effort so you can have a good time here. So, the first question, and Nina referred to this, what I'd like you to capture for yourselves, and I'll give you a few seconds, this is like shorthand, but what inspired you the most and why? So please capture that for yourselves, so that when you have that discussion at home, you will be absolutely stellar. What inspired you most and why? So I'm mindful of Ivan's invitation, or really his proclamation, that we have to be both prophets and realists. So you'll see that this little section is much more down the realist end of the line. Everyone managed to do that? Okay, so it's something like this where we're overwhelmed with information. It would be unreasonable to think, I think, that we've sorted everything out. There's lots of stuff still up for grabs. So what I'd invite you to do is to write down 3 questions from the conference that you want to sit with for a little bit. And I'd invite you to describe those in the following way. Start the question with, how can we? So this is for you to decide, of course, but it might be, how can we have a bigger impact in delivering social equity? So whatever that question is, I invite you to capture it. Doesn't have to be 3, of course, it's just a nice trinity. Thirdly, one of the great things about these events, of course, is the ability to put faces to names and make new connections. But it's easy for those to dissipate when those faces disappear once we get on the plane. So what I'd invite you to do is to identify the new people with whom you will create a common purpose to achieve more than you can alone. It might be people at the conference, it actually might be people at home, but I think we've all been invited to enter into that space of common purpose and bigger ambition, and here's a chance to make a start on that one. And last but by no means least, if we are to become successful prophets, and we've had examples here of when people's narratives have lifted us and made us feel very keenly the reasons that we came to work in the arts, which I'm pretty sure wasn't to write the best strategy or the best policy, would have the best guidelines. It was actually to improve people's lives. So, what's your compelling narrative, and who are the followers you will seek? Because prophets need both of those things. I hope it's okay to ask you to do a bit of work late in the conference. And I'm mindful of a whakatauki or saying that we have from home, which goes something like this. Ko taurau, ko takurau, ko ora te iwi. Which means with your food basket and my food basket, we will feed the multitudes. Kind of prophetic. So you've got your homework, and of course this is just shorthand, so I hope that there's enough there for you to develop as time goes on, because it would indeed be a bit tragic when we meet again to find that we heard all this good stuff, but we didn't do enough with it to make the world a better place. But talking about next time, we've got some breaking news.
Stephen, we've got these for you.
But we've got some certificates.
First, yes.
Because, of course, something like this is the tip of the iceberg. What goes on underneath it is thousands of hours of work, and we'd just like to acknowledge with you some of the people who have made this possible.
So first of all, because I know he's here in the room on the stage, we'd particularly like to thank the Arts Council of Malta and to Albert. Here you are, Stephen. You should come in the middle. Why don't you come in the middle and pass that over?
Thank you, Albert.
Thanks, Mary. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah.
And we know the minister's not here, but he's been so involved in the summit, both launching it a year ago and attending so much of the summit and the official events, that we'd like to also acknowledge that. So we'd ask you to perhaps take that from him as well. Similarly, we can't do this without the support of the other government agencies. So I'm not sure, is anyone from the Malta Tourism Authority present at the moment? We will save the certificate for you. There's also one for Malta Gaming Authority, so we thank both of you. That's very important. Of course, now we get to the real action. We have one for Annabelle. Where is Annabelle Stavala? Is she? There she is. Here she is. Come and get your certificate, please. There you go. Thank you. She'll be cross. She said, "Don't make me go on the stage again." Tony Attard. Thank you. Here you go.
So is there a video?
There's supposed to be a camera. I think it's happening.
Lovely entrance, Tony. Thank you so much.
Yeah, here you go. And of course, we should have the Honourable Nina Obolyan. So let's have a. I think there's some images being taken here. So, thank you. Back to your...
Right, so the exciting news, the 8th World Summit on Arts and Culture, you might be interested to know where that's going to be. And we're delighted to announce, and this is kind of informal.
It is.
But, word will get out. But we're delighted to announce that the next World Summit will be in Malaysia.
We invite Tan Sri Noleza Roffley to the stage. Please She's the Director General of the JKKN, the Directorate of Culture within the Ministry of Culture of Malaysia, and she has her colleagues here from Kuala Lumpur. And she's also a member of the board of IFICA, so we know her very well. Yeah. I think she's got a microphone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can say a few words now.
Can you hear me? Ooh, I must say the sound system here is fantastic. Okay, thank you for the, hang on. Thank you for the announcement. I'm so happy to share with you that Malaysia will be the host for the 8th World Summit on Arts and Culture. I would like to thank IFICA and especially its board members for choosing and entrusting Malaysia to be the next host. Now, in the next few months, I will work very closely with Sarah and team to concretize the contents of the 8th World Summit. I must say it will be a very difficult task for us after the fabulous job that Malta has done. Another round of applause for the Maltese team. We don't have a lot of palaces, we don't have a lot of forts because our tangible heritage is more on wood. So whatever we had hundreds of years ago have decayed. But I can assure you that we will try our very best to make the 8th World Summit a summit to remember. Now, the 8th World Summit will be in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, but we will try to diversify the program so that delegates can have experiences in other parts of Malaysia. It will be somewhere around March 2019. So can you also please mark that in your diaries, yeah? So that you do not forget, you have ample time to prepare for it. And we will follow and we will look into the feedback of the 7th World Summit very closely to see how we can best improve, or not say improve, but fulfill the needs of all participants. And I must say that one of the things I think we will look into is the inclusion of more artists and arts practitioners to talk with us, and also those from the other sectors, so that then we can have a really stimulating conversation. All right, they say words show, or words bring about 1,000 words. Please allow me to show you a 3-minute video of Malaysia. It's not a touristic video. It shows modern Kuala Lumpur, but it also shows the people, the flora and fauna, and why you should be in Malaysia in March 2019. I will personally greet Selamat Datang or welcome to each and every one of you when you land in Kuala Lumpur Airport. So welcome to Malaysia. Thank you.
pass over to Albert Marshall now
Yes,
for the
thank
final word. You okay?
Are you right?
No, stay there. Keep it.
So with modesty, I must say that Malta seems to have raised the quality value of the summit a couple of notches. I hope you all agree. It is now up to Kuala Lumpur to keep the momentum going, and on behalf of Arts Council Malta, I sincerely wish you all the very best to surpass the Maltese effort with the organization of the 8th Cultural World Summit.
Thank you.
Please accept this small token to remember us by, and to remind you that Arts Council Malta is always at your disposal. Thank you, my friend. If I may, Sarah, a small list, a big list of thank you mentions.
The stage is yours.
Co-hosts, obviously,
Literally.
Ifika, Steve, Sarah, and the very strong team. We enjoyed for practically a year and a half being the co-host with one of the most important cultural IFICA organizations, and I think the chemistry and the synergy that we enjoyed while working together between IFICA and Malta has guaranteed, in fact, has translated into the success of this event. Steve, Sarah, and the strong team, thank you. Nina, Honorable Nina, Minister Nina, for your insight and expertise in bringing together a brilliant set of keynote speakers who have honored us with their sterling contribution. Thank you very much for your generous sharing of narratives that have instigated thought, provocative thought sometimes on the cutting edge, and some speeches that have went viral because of the beauty, humanity, and cultural importance. Nina was ably assisted by Tony Attard from my office. Thank you also, Tony, for your assertive and efficient moderation throughout the summit. I'd love to thank Euronews and Public Broadcasting Malta, coordinated by Sarah Lee from Annabelle's team, who have given us very generous coverage and still are throughout the summit. Thank you. Special thanks, obviously, to Annabelle Stivala, who was the brain behind all the beautiful, stylish touches that you have experienced during your stay in Malta. Annabelle, you are resourceful, indefatigable, and a team leader. And for that, I have special thanks on behalf of everybody here because of the big job you've done. Annabelle admits, of course, that she wouldn't have been able to do all this without the assistance and total dedication of her team. Thank you, team. And thank you also for the rest of my staff who have remained at the office because of chores that need to be done, but still they found time yesterday to be with us and participate in what was going on. And finally, of course, thank you, Dr. Owen Bonici, my minister, who, on behalf of his government, has believed in this project and put government money where its mouth is and facilitated, not just financially but morally, the success of this event. Thank you immensely to the politicians who usually I stay away from, but in this case, of course, I went begging for more money until with IFICA's contributions, we made sure that nothing was left amiss in the way we provided what was experienced to you, and I hope you're all pleased with the effort. Thank you very much. So until we meet in Kuala Lumpur, in the meantime, I would love you to come back to Malta, enjoy our hospitality. My sincere hope that this is not a goodbye, but an adieu, so that without, of course, obliging you to, you come back to us, and we will, of course, make sure that your stay is or will be as pleasant as this was. And to do that, to keep my promise, I offer any type of help and assistance which I can provide you with. My contact number is readily available. Please contact me, and I'll make sure that nobody is disappointed when you come as tourists. Bon voyage!
Could we have a photograph of you? Thank you. So please, come and have some lunch, and we'll be with you in one moment. Thank you.
Did you call me?
I just thought we might have a photograph here all together. Is that okay?
No.